Today, y'all must have forgot about Bobby Knuckles Robert Whittaker. That's really all that needs to be said about that, because I think that y'all might have forgot. But you were reminded. Also, what about Drago? What about Ivan Drago? What about Volkov? As he goes out there and shows he, as well as Tommy Aspinall, can stop the hype train that is Sergey Pavlovich. And when you talk about a dude to watch, what about Felipe Lima? What about him? That's really all that needs to be said about him, but we really gonna get off into it. On today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt. We here to break down UFC Saudi Arabia, which went down over the weekend at a nice, smooth start time of 4 p.m. That's what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? That way we ain't got to be up all night to deal with this, UFC. Anyway, bro, in the main event, Robert the Reaper Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles, goes out there and he defeats Ikram Aliskerov. Bro, shout out to Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker. Someone hit up Ariel Wani and let him know on Monday we need a brand new Y'all Must Have Forgot. Go ahead and drop it. Drop the air horns. Burr, 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 burr. Like we want the whole thing because we talking about Bobby Knuckles. Robert Whittaker goes out there and he gets Ikram out of there early. He gets him out at 1:49 in the first round. Caught him with a devastating uppercut, wobbled him with shots. I'm talking about Ikram was on Dream Street before his head ever hit the pillow. You know what I'm saying? And Bobby Knuckles goes out there and disposes of him. And, bro, this is a big moment because I saw a lot of websites, or more so a lot of YouTube pages, a lot of fight pickers, a lot of different places were really closing the gap between Whittaker and Ikram. And I never really saw that. And then a lot of people were picking Ikram to win. And I'm like, he's not a bad fighter. He's a really good fighter. But people have to respect the upper echelon of these divisions. Robert Whittaker is like top 3, top 4 greatest middleweights of all time. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and admit it, because he is. You know what I'm saying? We talking about Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya, and Robert the Reaper Whittaker. You know what I'm saying? Just look at the man's resume, his track record, look at his amazing fights. Bro, the man does work. So I never really understood why so many people were really... I'm not saying everybody was counting out Bobby Knuckles, because they weren't. But at the same time, more people were going along with Ikram than what I thought would go along with him. That's all I'm saying. So now Robert Whittaker goes out there, gets the win, knocks him out in the first round. You know, seems like there's a little bit of weird things coming out of the Dagestani camp from one Islam Makhachev. He definitely didn't seem to be happy at all with this loss taken by Ikram Aliskerov. So with that being said, man, that dude, he's going to be all right as long as he gets his training camps together. Or hopefully Islam doesn't officially kick him out. I don't know what all that was on the internet. Could have been fake. Who knows? Nevertheless, man, Bobby Knuckles. Bobby Knuckles now has put himself in a position in which I feel like as long as there's not going to be a rematch instantly between Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, right? Whoever wins, more than likely at the end of this year, at the year-end December card, or at least the early January card that the UFC always does, more than likely, possibly in Madison Square Gardens in November, they're probably going to have a middleweight championship fight between the winner of Dricus and Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. As long as Sean Strickland sticks to his word and he's going to hold out. Either one of those fights could play out perfectly for that. But Robert Whittaker has put himself in a great position by going out there and beating a guy that he really didn't have to fight. He was fighting really far back, way far back. You know what I'm saying? Way far back as far as a ranking number, if one even existed. So Homie went out there, did the UFC a favor. When Hamzat pulled out of the fight, Robert Whittaker stood fast, stood strong, went out there and handled Ikram. Has now put himself in position where, worst case scenario, he fights Strickland for the A1 guaranteed next title shot, or he just waits. Strickland fights the winner in November in Madison Square Gardens, or at the end of the year in December. Fights the winner of Duplessis, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whittaker's right there. Shout out to the Reaper, Robert Whittaker. Oh, Bobby Knuckles goes out there and gets the job done. How about the co-main event where Ivan Drago, Alexander Volkov, goes out there and puts on a distance, rangy, striking, I don't want to say clinic, but he kept Sergey Pavlovich at bay. Sergey Pavlovich, to me, this just seems like this wasn't the best fight to rebound on. Now, my pick to win this was Pavlovich, but in my opinion, I thought he was going to be able to go out there, close the distance better, get within range, collapse the pocket, and do work against Volkov. Not so fast. That's not what happened. What happened was Alexander Volkov kept him at range, kept him out there with that long, rangy jab. Pavlovich could never really collapse the pocket. He did land some shots against Volkov, no doubt. They were powerful. They were thudding. But it was not good enough to get Ivan Drago out of there. So now Volkov wins this fight by decision, goes out there, moves Sergey Pavlovich to the side. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, maybe 4, I believe, 3-fight winning streak. Really puts himself in a good position there in the heavyweight division. Now, he called out John Jones, which I thought, somewhat of a wasted call out in a way. You know what I'm saying? In a way. Oh, wrong side. The thing about John Jones, and I'd like to say, I got these John Jones pictures on my wall, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people are like, this guy's probably a John Jones fan. I am far from that. So with that being said, bro, because I'm the first one to say John Jones is tripping about not fighting Tom Aspinall. But that's a whole other story. We don't want to make this too long. Nevertheless, bro, there's no way Volkov is going to get the fight against John Jones unless John Jones really looks at him like he's just easy money. You know what I'm saying? He's just he's just the snack at the end of the lunch tray, you know what I'm talking about? So, kind of a wasted call out there, but nevertheless, 3-fight win streak at heavyweight. We'll see what plays out between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. F whatever's going on with John Jones and Stipe. But we'll see how it all plays out. Shout out to Volkov. He goes out there and gets a win. Let's move on. How about the middleweight bout between Kelvin Gastelum versus D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez? This fight really pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? This was some ish right here. So Kelvin Gastelum misses weight, up a whole weight division. You know what I'm saying? Makes D-Rod fly all the way there to Saudi Arabia, so D-Rod's locked in. He's making weight. Waits until Thursday to let him know, to let the UFC know. And this really puts D-Rod in a weird position because he's already in Saudi Arabia. He already wants to fight. He's already drained himself cutting weight. This is Thursday. Weigh-ins next day. So he's already drained. He's already fatigued. Now he's told, hey, you can stop making weight. Kelvin wants to know if you want to do it at 185 pounds. Couldn't even do it at 180. Wanted to do it at 185. Now that puts D-Rod in a position where he needs to fight. He wants to get his money. He hasn't fought in a while. He's in Saudi Arabia. He's made this huge flight, you know what I'm saying, to go over there. It's not necessarily a comfortable place, you know what I'm saying? And now he's being told this. So he has to agree to the fight. And now he's putting on water weight, carb weight, to reach 185, and he still didn't really reach 185. You know what I'm saying? He was being interviewed right before, the night before he was going to weigh in. He was eating everything in sight to try to be able to weigh more to get closer to 185. So, horrible move by Kelvin. Kelvin looked decent. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he got the win. He looked decent. But, He did what he had to do to get the win. Terrible position, though. Terrible position. I don't see the UFC letting him go, but I feel like the only fights they're going to now offer him are going to be fights where he's going to get washed or demoralized. You know what I'm saying? And they can kind of prop up somebody newer, up and coming killer, somebody like that. So, nevertheless, Kelvin Gastelum goes out there and gets the win. Sucks for Daniel Rodriguez, but them be the breaks. Anyway, let's move on. We have Shira, let's just call him Shira Bullet. You know what I'm saying? Goes in there against Antonio Tricoli. Shira goes out there, really good kicks, really strong leg kicks. I wasn't really wowed by his performance. I mean, yeah, he stayed in the lead. He stayed in control. There was a couple of moments early on the first round by Tricoli, but soon he started to gas out, and that's what it was. Short notice fight, couple of days, which also shows you why Kelvin Gastelum is trash, because it's like, bro, this other dude went in with like 3 days notice, had a heck of a first round, and made weight. You know what I'm saying? Gassed after that, but still. Anyway, shout out to Shira Bullet, Magomedov. He goes out there, he gets the win, he moves on. You could definitely see a lot of holes in his game where a really good wrestler would go out there and exploit it. Shout out to Bo Nickel, who already made his call for this fight because he sees the same thing that we should all be seeing. A lot of holes in this guy's game, but shout out to Shira Bullet, he gets the win. Next, we have Johnny Walker, goes out there, gets knocked out spectacularly. You know what I'm saying? Tremendously. Gets knocked out by no time. Volkan Ozdemir, who was my pick in this fight. It's like I said, Johnny Walker is just unreliable. There's no consistency there. So sometimes, bro, you just got to go against Johnny Walker. And Volkan Ozdemir, whatever you want to say, man, he's also riding a little win streak. I think like a little 4-fight win streak. Shout out to him. We'll see where he goes, but it's just good to see him go out there, use good fight IQ. Go ahead, throw them hands, throw them tongs, throw them bows, you know what I'm saying? And get old Johnny Walker out of there. So nevertheless, he moves forward. Let's move on. We had Nasrat Hasparat stepping in there with Jared Gordon. Shout out to Jared Gordon, man. Shout out to Jared Gordon. I feel like Nasrat I feel like you could have gave him the scorecards. I feel like, in my opinion, he won 2-1, but just barely. I think he just barely landed the better shots in round 3. I mean, just barely when they were standing. Just barely. But if you want to give it to Jared Gordon, I could go along with that. Jared Gordon had a heck of a fight. Shout out to Hasparat. He goes out there, he gets the win. Next, we had Muhammad Niamov stepping in there against my dude to watch, Felipe Lima. Shout out to Felipe Lima. I picked against him in this fight. Felipe Lima, I was not familiar with your game. Pause. I was not. This man went out there. The speed was on point. The accuracy was on point. Great leg kicks. Great boxing. You know what I'm saying? Went out there and was making Niamov look off balance at times, slow at times. He had good grappling defense, good scrambles. I'm talking about Lima. Bro, shout out to Felipe Lima. He's definitely going to be a guy to be on the lookout for. You know what I'm saying? Big win. It's hard. It is hard to get guys like, Niamov with that fighting style that he possesses to tap in a choke. I mean, it was cinched up. He was going to go out anyway. It was definitely under the chin. But shout out to Felipe Lima. He is one of those dudes that we need to watch. I'm not going to go over all the fights on this card because a lot of it was just kind of, wasn't lay and pray, but it just wasn't really exciting and the fans weren't really into it. I will say, toot the horn of my own city, it wasn't a Louisville, Kentucky crowd. You know what I'm saying? We brought the heat, you know what I'm saying, with our USA chants and all. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, the crowd didn't really seem to be into it most of the night. But next we're moving on. Renat Fakhretdinov goes out there and defeats by decision Nicholas Dalby. There was a world, in my opinion, you could have gave this fight to Nicholas Dalby based off of damage. But, Renat, he looked always looks good round 1 and round 2. He's a really good fighter, but by the time he gets to round 3, bro, he's generally always gassed. And you got to have a bigger gas tank than 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? You can have 13 minutes. We can work with that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't have 10 to 9, maybe to 8 minutes of cardio. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. Especially not at welterweight. You know what I'm saying? So, nevertheless, shout out to Renat. He goes out there, gets the win. Shout out to Nicholas Dobby, dude. Nicholas Dobby was just trucking him. I mean, Nicholas Dobby, this man was big brothering him up against the cage. He was just yoking him up. Just lats were spread, you know what I'm talking about? Holding him up against the side of the cage, you know. Shout out to Nicholas Dobby at the Haas of the week, if I had such an award. Pause. Goes out there, does his thing, dude. Let's move on. We had Kung Ho Kang goes in there against Gafarov. Bro, shout out to Gafarov, bro. Shout out to Kung Ho Kang. This was a fight where Kung Ho Kang, for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, was the better grappler, the better in scrambles. But at the end of the day, dude, Gafarov just had more heart, more tenacity. He was just bulldozing his way with less technique. You know, Kang had the better technique. He was using less technique, but more or less hossing his way into different positions to break out of scrambles, to try to cinch up his own chokes. So, you know, shout out to him, man. And when they were standing, that's definitely where Kang was lacking. He kept getting the better of him on the feet. His shots were harder. His shots were more solid. As well as he caught the man with a devastating combo in the second round. I think there was like a minute left on the clock. And Gafarov hit him with 2 shots to the body, like a left and a right to the body. Then came upstairs, caught him with a left hand to the jaw, and then finished it with a leg kick. And Kang was just like, bop, bop, boom, boom, whoa, and just spun around, you know what I'm talking about? It was a great sequence. Shout out to Gafarov, bro. He goes out there, gets the win. He definitely looked solid in the fight, you know. Interested to see where they go from here. Commentary was derailed by the man's back hair. That was kind of a weird moment. It was like, bro, okay, you can make a little joke, but we don't need Michael Bisping and, you know, DC to really weigh in back and forth and then find out about John Anik going to get waxes and things. Look, we don't need all that, guys. Stay focused. Y'all didn't even have Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Lord knows Joe Rogan went, how about this back hair, you know? And, you know, then it would have translated into doing a fight in the soccer ball field with no walls. You know what I'm talking about? We need y'all to stay on point. You know what I'm saying? It's already tough enough when Dominic Cruz is on the call and he's just seeing red when, oh no nonsense, Keith Peterson's out there. Nevertheless, that was a tangent. That's it though. That's all the fights we're gonna go over. That was UFC Saudi Arabia. Overall, I mean, good technique, pretty good card for the most part. You know, shout out to Robert Whittaker. If he hadn't got that knockout, this really would have been a sus card, but nevertheless, worked out good. The crowd didn't really sell it, but, you know, it is what it is. We were expecting to see Khamzat Chimaev. We didn't. But nevertheless, man, Bobby Knuckles goes out there and gets the win. So that's what it was. It was UFC Saudi Arabia. This has been your instant reaction. And I do want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.